And I don't remember why I did it that way. I think I just wanted to be like an edgelord.
From one idiot to the other, shall nerd.
Have you been finding Warcraft 3?
With the map.
Welcome to Save States and Fetch Quests, where we taunt the games that defined our childhood. Each episode we fast travel into a beloved retro title, proc our memories, exploring what made these games so special, and uncovering the secret RNG behind their lasting legendary item drop of appeal. Whether you're a tank for nostalgia or just a glass cannon discovering these classics for the first time, we've got something for you. Hi, my name is Choose Red Mage, and I am here with Toadie.
Word.
And a special guest, Shalarissa.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to this. Welcome to our first episode with a guest.
It's very exciting. Thanks for
So excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So we are just basically going to talk a little bit about our experiences in MMOs. Because we've all played MMOs. We have played different MMOs, right? And we just thought it would be a nice idea to give us a little bit of an overview. What is an MMO? How did we get to the MMOs that we have been playing? And what were our experiences in all of that? So for me, I'll just go and start because Toadie specifically mentioned our recording session this time that if we're not poking myself about the amount of hours that I have played, that she's gonna riot. So
True. So please get ready to make fun of this man. Roast him in the comments.
yes,
And then give us a rating.
yes, please, yes, please click all these buttons that we have around everywhere.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
so,
Red Mage.
yes.
What MMO do you play a lot of?
I don't know. It's a small niche game called Final Fantasy, and I have to be very specific here because while I have a couple of hours in Final Fantasy 14, the majority of time that I have been playing MMOs is Final Fantasy 11. And to get that number out again, we've heard it here before. Roughly 1,400 days, 33,000 hours in there. So it's yeah,
Insane.
It's just a few.
Actually insane.
I have to say though, and I logged into my account for the first time in 5 years now, for this episode in preparation and for my streams in preparation as well. And yeah, there is one thing that I can put in there, like a little message into the seller box where I can just have free text, and I have my account creation date in there of 2005.
Sick. That's probably around when I started. No, sorry, that's later than when I started playing RuneScape. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, February 11th, 2005 is the birth date of my account, and yes, 33,000 hours after that. Well, 33,000 hours on 3 different accounts, I have to say, right? So it's not just one account. And I think that's one of the major differences that we will come to talk a little bit about how the different MMOs are with accounts versus characters versus jobs, because Final Fantasy is very specific in that you can basically play every job on your account, on your one character. You can just go and say, yes, I am going to just make a job change right now on the fly to this other type of job. Well, not in middle of battle, right? You have to go to a specific area for this, but I can change my job, right? And I don't. I'm
so excited to talk about this.
All of these other things happening for myself. So, but before I just go off and talk about Final Fantasy a lot, Shal, what is your MMO of choice?
I mean, I played like a little bit of World of Warcraft, just like a little bit. I just went back and checked, and I purchased World of Warcraft in 2012. That was like peak.
Okay,
I just
okay.
started properly gaming on a PC. I'd got an office PC that I was playing WoW on. Not great. And somebody had just jammed a graphics card in there and went, yeah. So I played a fair bit of World of Warcraft. There isn't a way to check your overall account stuff without add-ons, but on my main character, I played about 132 real-life days on one character, and that was my priest. That was the priest Shalarissa. That's where I get my name from. Was a World of Warcraft name generator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I put my real name in there and then was like, go, and it put Shan, which is my real name, hello. And then it was just like, how about Shalarissa? Sure.
Awesome. That's
So
fun
just a
little
little bit
Shao
of WoW.
lore. Yeah. That's
And Tony,
so cool.
what about you? What are your MMOs of choice? Or what is your MMO of choice?
I will say I did play a chunk of WoW. Certainly not as much as Shao, but I played up until a boot burning. No, I played until Lich King, and then I kind of fell off at Lich King. But you know, for the Horde and all that, I love playing a shaman. So fun, Tauren shaman. But my what are we talking about today? MMO of choice forever and always will be RuneScape. Oh my god, I love RuneScape so much. And it nowadays will be old school RuneScape. But back in my day, it was just RuneScape. And I started playing around the same time as Shao, probably around 2012. I was just kind of looking to see if there's a way of finding out, but because that account now would be a like RuneScape 3 account, I don't know how to look that stuff up. But it certainly would have been around that time. And similar fun fact to Shao with the username, RuneScape is the one place where I'm not Toady. I don't think there's a single other like place in the world where I'm not Toady. And I don't remember why I did it that way. I think I just wanted to be like an edgelord because I named myself, Red Mage especially might laugh at this. I named myself Domenschatten, which is a really poor translation of like Dark Lady or like Lady of the Night.
So edgy.
Super edgelord. But yeah, probably again, like I would say probably 5 digits of hours in the various RuneScape stuff.
That's interesting. Yeah. I'm with Shal there about the name generator. Final Fantasy, I've never played it under choose Red Mage because Red Mage is a class in Final Fantasy. So of course, I was not one of the people that just named themselves after something in the game. There is a good bunch of people that do that, right? But I have mostly stuck to names that I wanted to put into the game, but my main character is a random name generator character as well.
That's so funny.
Well, not entirely anymore. That's the other thing. So my initial start in Final Fantasy XI was on a server called Odin, and on Odin my character name was Thinian, and that character name was taken on Asura, and I switched over to Asura because basically everyone switched over to Asura because that's the largest English-speaking community, whereas Odin at the time was kind of more a mixed one with a more lean on Japanese players, which is a fun thing about Final Fantasy in general as well. But so with that, it was I had to move over to a different server. That server had already a character called Thinian somewhere, so what do? You need to rename your character. And then for some reason, I don't even know exactly how I landed on it, but my character's name is Tharian now. And that's the character name that I still have to this day.
I'm going to hop in here. That's something that I have written down. So like, guys, I'm going to come across as a huge... We say pee-pee poo-poo words in this, right?
Yes, we do.
I'll just say twat. It's a nice middle ground pee-pee poo-poo word. I'm going to come across as a huge twat during this because like I'm so pretentious about how much better RuneScape is than these other MMOs. And like literally the stuff that I've written down for this is like why RuneScape is better. And I should clarify, like, that's mostly humor, but there is a piece of me that believes it. One thing I really, really love about RuneScape is, like, if I want to, rather than having, like, they are servers essentially, but rather than having servers per se, you don't register your character on a server. You just register your character. And then if I play normally on world 314, but I want to, like, oh, my friend happens to be on world 816, I just hop over to world 816. And it's, like, not a thing that you guys have, both of you, I think, even Final Fantasy 14, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Like, your characters are server bound unless you transfer them. Like, I think I paid once on WoW to transfer like, what the fuck? Wild. So just a big thumbs up to RuneScape for letting me play on whatever world I want to, and for having some worlds be locked behind, like, a total level, so that we can feel way better about ourselves because we have, like, 2,500 total level, and then the world's just, like, calmer and quieter, and
2,500
it's so
level.
great.
Oh my god.
Yo, it's okay.
That's
Do we have
insane.
maths? Hold on. What's 23 times 99? Oh, 2,500 must have not been the right number, because 2,277 is the highest you can get. But there is total 2K level. I know that. I know those worlds exist. It really helps not deal with bots, which I think is maybe something that you guys have over RuneScape. I think that's maybe RuneScape's biggest downfall, or, like, it suffers more. We suffer a lot from bots. Whereas I don't think Final Fantasy or WoW get so much of them.
I'll go. I'm gonna keep quiet about that. No, botting is real. Botting is a big issue. Of course, because Final Fantasy 11 is one of the smaller games, it's not too bad. But just go into nowadays go into the game in general, because you have at some stage they introduced a shout system called Yell, which would go into every starter city and every home city, right? Whereas before, the shouts were just region specific. So with a Yell you can reach everyone in those starter cities, and basically every half minute you'll have 10 people shouting about wanting to go to a specific website to buy in-game currency. So yeah.
Oh yeah. But, like, your bots aren't, like, characters that exist that are taking, like, it's not like they're taking up a resource in the game.
Oh,
right?
no, of course.
Like, when I want
they are.
Go.
So how do you get in-game currency? You need to farm something in order to get to that in-game currency, right?
Yeah.
There's either nowadays there's bots that sell you on leveling, right? So you pay them in-game currency for them to power level you. So you just sit in a corner for 6 hours and you level 99. Yay, great. But the other part of this is that they go into the specific items that are really hard to get and really expensive, and they go and farm them to a point where, for certain things, they started to introduce multiple spawn points for these enemies, so that it would not just be one person clogging up that one spawn point. For some, they introduced it that just one of these 3 random spawn points would be the one that can be triggered. For others, it's you can have 3 up on the same at the same time to combat people hogging that resource. Yeah, we had our own share of all of that.
Cool.
And then, of course, the other people
had a
that
similar
were
problem.
botting. So
yeah.
WoW
had a similar problem with, like, herbalism. You can find, like, people have drawn, like, paths on the maps for the areas you go to. Be like, you could grab this herb, then this one and this one, and there'd be a short delay before it despawned, and then you'd see, like, a conga line of their characters running to grab it after each other, and then selling it on the auction house, clogging that up, like. And it was so weird. And they'd all do the exact same thing. They'd all be the same character, dressed the same, not even trying to make it look different. They'd all just be like a troll hunter just doing herbalism.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I never thought it was that pervasive in the other ones as well.
I mean, they did a
Wild.
pretty good job of like getting rid of people botting, especially when we had GMs in WoW that would be there to fix the problems. So rather than like a centralized hub, you could like be like, "Hey, this guy's a bot."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Interesting.
wild thinking about all of these things again, because I haven't played for the last 5 years. I just recently started my account up again and went back into, and I just realized that I had a little bit of money left over from previous endeavors, so I'm not completely broke at this point. But yeah, but that brings up all these memories, good and bad. One of the things, how is it with your MMOs with external programs and using them in the game?
Oh man, I can't fucking understand WoW stream, like watching WoW now because of all of the extensions people are running. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm seeing.
So WoW used to have a lot of add-ons. So for instance, I'm a healer because I'm a gamer girl. I was always a healer, and I was in like the main healing team in my progress guild. So we'd have stuff that'd be like, you're doing a boss, it'll ping when you need to move. You had things that like put markers on people to tell them where to go, and it'd do a lot of that by default. And so some of them were quite complicated, but they were generally pretty okay. But fairly recently, they've come out banning some add-ons that play for you in terms of they tell you when boss mechanics are happening. Because they're having to make bosses harder and harder and harder. So people without the add-ons really struggle, and there's a lot to do. Like I found earlier before we started, I'd written some guides to bullet point stuff before we had the really cool add-ons to do all this stuff for us. Like I'd got bullet point guides and the phases and the names of the spells that the boss would do and how it'd affect and what we need to do. So in general, they're still fine with add-ons, but some stuff that they find is basically too much like doing the boss for you. They're just banning it. They're just getting rid. So especially with like top guilds, like the race to world first in WoW is a huge thing. So banning stuff like that that's going to get people to world first, because the player themselves can be now held accountable for it and just be like, don't use it.
Yeah. I would argue, I mean, this is completely just a guess, but it's gotta be like at least 80% of RuneScape players who aren't just playing on their phone. Anybody who's playing at a PC is using RuneLite. Like it's just, even as someone who something I've written down is about how RuneScape is actually a single player game. I play it like a single player game. Almost everybody plays it like a single player game. But so I take that to quote the extreme where I just don't talk to anybody in it. I'm not like engaged in the community in it anymore. So I'm really disengaged, right? But even in just going to download it again when I was getting back into it as an adult, like you learn RuneLite exists and you just install it, and it's just a third party. Hello, sorry, my cat might be saying hi. It's just a third party app that runs the game in it, and it's got like quest helper in it, and it's got shows you where the safe spots are, or it's got things that make the graphics more HD because OSRS has the most beautiful graphics ever. RuneLite is everywhere, and it's generally well known and approved and loved by Jagex and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, for Final Fantasy, third-party add-ons are completely illegal. So if Square would catch you with a third-party add-on, you're done. I have, not completely done, but I have seen people get banned for just running Windower. Windower is probably the most prolific one, and there's a huge community around it, right? And it's this gray zone where people say, yeah, but it doesn't interfere with the servers, so there's no packet injection or anything happening on that end. So it just is what's happening on your client. So it's like this gray zone. They can't see that you're doing it. So you get away with it. And that actually caused a split in the community, because there's another of these add-ons called Ashita, which is the one where the developer said, yep, sure, you can have your plugins that do packet injection and that do stuff with the game. So there is a little bit of a divide there. And of course, the most prolific cheaters, botters, and everything, there's some other things that you can use in order to make it even even crazier. There's one program that I remember from back in the day called Project Taco, which is basically just going in and this is not an endorsement of that program, right? I just know why people have been gotten banned for this, where you can basically make yourself lag that much that the game can't keep up with where you are on the map, and once you turn it off, you just basically instantly appear somewhere else on the map, bypassing all the enemies, while still your client on your end, you still do the actions and move around and everything, but basically no enemy would aggro you on the way over there and stuff like that. Or where you could go and turn on invisible things that would only show up after you finished your quest, and that is then the end quest marker. In order for you to get the reward, you could enable those with that, make them visible and make them clickable, which, again, that's all packet injection. That's completely illegal for the game, and I know that people have been banned for this. Not even just a temp ban, immediately went out, and you can create a new account. Technically, you're even not allowed to create a new account, but people, of course, did that. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume anything that actually interacts with the game itself is probably also not okay in RuneScape, and I would assume WoW as well. It's all RuneLite is all just external visual stuff, and it's heavily integrated with the RuneScape wiki, which is the best gaming wiki on the internet. I really love RuneScape so much. Honestly, I'm so glad that we did this episode, because there's this 1 5-hour RuneScape video that is on my I have it downloaded from YouTube via premium or whatever, because it's what I listen to when I fly overseas to help me fall asleep. So I already kind of sort of am still into that part of watching RuneScape stuff, but the excuse with this episode to go back and kind of relearn some RuneScape things, and it's just been so nice. But I have held back and I have not started playing again, and I'm curious if you guys have. Shao, do you still actively play WoW?
World of Warcraft, no. I've just started playing through Warcraft 3 because I've never played an RTS before, so I've just started playing that.
Yes.
And I have literally been speaking to Jimbus today about restarting our subscriptions, but not to the extent that I was before, because I was playing all day, every day, hardcore raiding in 2 raid teams, and then I also had a PvP group that I did, so I was playing every day at my peak of obsession with it. Yeah. It was a lot, but I am low-key just obsessed with the lore and the leveling systems and just playing the game. That I'm really excited, because I don't know if you guys know, but I have Frostmourne from World of Warcraft, Arthas's sword. I have a copy of that on my a real life version of it hung on my office. I have a map of Azeroth. I have a World of Warcraft hoodie. I have the cookbook, the lore books, and a tattoo I have the Horde symbol tattooed on my back. So I was a little bit obsessed with it. So I do want to start playing World of Warcraft again. But it won't be the hardcore that it was now. It was a lot.
Second job, scheduling raids and being there, and
From one idiot to the other, nerd. I mean, the viewers, the listeners don't see this right now, but I'm sitting in a room that is basically just kitted out with Final Fantasy stuff. Right, so I'm probably not the right person to call out anyone on these things, but yeah.
I mean, we all are in pretty nerdy offices. I'm going to be honest, looking at us all.
Have you been finding Warcraft 3
with the map?
Total tangent. Sorry, what's that?
With the map.
I gotta go.
Sorry.
It's been nice chatting with you guys.
Good podcast. Thank you. I've been really enjoying the lore aspect of it again, because I love just all of Wrath of the Lich King. Cause I didn't start until it had finished, and I'd done none of the hardcore raiding, so I just got to play it for fun and just level through it, and I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever.
Right.
And I love that era of it, and with the WoW books, the Arthas one is my most read one, that is literally one down the spine of the book, so I read it so many times.
That's awesome. Holy smokes.
Which is really
Yikes.
interesting seeing you go and play Warcraft 3 for the first time, because for me it's exactly the other way around. If I look over to my shelf with the games from my childhood, there is a Blizzard collection with Warcraft 2, StarCraft, and Warcraft 3, including the expansion. So I have played these back in the day, and then when I tried World of Warcraft for the first time, I looked at it and I thought, yeah, no, this is just a cartoon colorful game. This is not for me.
Yeah.
If you were like gonna hop back into WoW, are you gonna be hopping back into retail WoW or WoW Classic?
Retail WoW, so I can do all of the newer stuff. Well, up to the last expansion that I bought, which is like Shadowlands, because I'm not going to buy the other ones yet, unless I'm really like in there, because they've just announced a new expansion coming out. So maybe it depends how much it is, because to play WoW, you have to buy all of the expansions. Like you have to buy the newest one, and then you normally get the older ones with it. But the $9.99 a month is like a lot for a game. Like paying a subscription for a game, if you're not paying, like if you're not doing the hardcore already, if you're not doing it constantly, just feels like a lot. Especially in this economy, just it feels like a lot to play a video game.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about
yours,
money, but sorry, go ahead.
Do either WoW or FF11 or 14, if you know, have like in RuneScape, bonds are our only microtransaction, and they're how you pay for. They're a way that you pay for membership. So you pay X amount of real world money, you get a bond, and then you can exchange that bond for membership. So it's like, but you can also take that bond and sell it on our marketplace, which means if you're like crazy and good and time dedicated, you can pay for your RuneScape membership just by playing RuneScape and like accumulating enough in-game money. So you can basically have RuneScape membership without paying any real world money. Do you guys have anything like that?
WoW added that, so you can buy your membership on the guild house for in-game money, but it was quite expensive. Like you'd have to just grind at it, and then that to me feels like taking the fun out of some of it, because I didn't like all the grindy professions as much. I liked herbalism. I just like picking flowers, and that didn't get me a lot of money. Yeah, without like having to do alchemy and stuff with it. So I find it's great that they do have it for the people that want to grind and don't want to spend real life money, but it's still just not going to be the best option for everybody.
Yeah.
Square Enix likes money.
Yep.
that's the answer. That's the answer. It's membership fees, monthly membership fees. That's it. Right. Yeah. You have a currency that you can buy on the membership page in order to pay for it, which is basically just their way of making a little bit extra, because your membership is $11.95, and of course you can only buy 12. Right. So
yes.
But that's basically it, right? You can pay by credit card, and then that's done. And that is one of the things that I wanted to explore a little bit as well when it comes to money. How expensive is the monthly membership fee? Because from my Final Fantasy perspective, I have an account fee. That account fee is $11.95 or $12.95. I'm not 100% sure, actually. It is on the more expensive side, right? I know that WoW is starting with $9.99, I think, for a month, right? But for every additional character that I create on my account, I pay an extra €1. You can have up to 16 characters on one account, so you can pay through the nose for this game. Hi, I've done this for 3 accounts, so 3 different accounts with 16 characters each. So at the peak, I paid a lot of money a month. But how is that over in the other games?
So I mean, for WoW, you could have like 65 characters per account, so like you could only have so many per server, and then you'd have to like move them to other servers or do whatever, because I paid for quite a few server transfers between raiding guilds, because it was like applying for a job. To apply for like raiding guilds that weren't even like the top guilds, like pretty good guilds, I'd have to fill out a membership form to like request to join as a raiding member and provide them with all of my logs, because I'd have to log my own healing and damage and things, whichever I was applying for, and you'd have to provide all of that and an interview to make sure that you had a working microphone and weren't gonna like yell at people. But like, I've actually just checked. WoW subscription went up by £3 since I last played, so it's now $12.99. Yeah, and then for like classic WoW, that's like 50 characters that you can have per account. But once you reach the limit, you just got to start deleting ones you didn't play. So I'd ideally like to have one of everything and go through it all again as each race at least. So yeah.
I think that's a lot. Maybe one thing also that RuneScape does poorly compared to you guys is like it's one character that you pay for and that's it. And if you want another character, you pay full price. There's no discounted. But I guess when your one character can log in on any world and is all of the professions, like there's none of this changing jobs at a certain location thing. You are just everything. You don't necessarily need more than one character. But I just looked, and I guess I'll say American currency for the benefit of people listening, because Canadian money is fake. If you pay for the full year at a time, which I think maybe most people would do, it's $8.30 American for a month, which
that's not bad.
Too bad. But if you pay per month, it's $14. So there's the difference there. But what I really like
Sorry, no, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, it's fairly quick. I don't know if you guys have ever done the thing where on your phone you sell your soul to Google and you answer the surveys for like 10 cents at a time kind of thing. I do those, and then it just gives you like Google Play Store money. And I have in the past used that Google Play Store money to pay for RuneScape membership, because you can play RuneScape on your phone. So that's been really fun. So I just sell my soul to Google to play RuneScape.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Sorry, I just wanted to hook into the one thing that you said there. You can change your job whenever. So you can be in the middle of a battle and change it?
Yeah, and that's our end game content is, and it's not changing your job. This is another thing to talk about. Okay, so combat in RuneScape. Here we go. Here's an education. And again, just to reiterate for folks, this is old school RuneScape. Nobody plays RuneScape 3. Shit's crazy. So with you guys and with any other RPG type game, right? Like you typically pick, for the sake of simplicity, I'll stick with melee, range, or magic, right? You pick one type, you focus into that type, and often in some games, like let's say WoW, for example, is what I'm the most familiar with. Like if you choose to be a Draenei hunter, that's what you are. You don't get to just suddenly change from hunter to a shaman or whatever and then start using shaman magic. No, in RuneScape, you are all three, because you just have these 23 skills that exist, and 5 of them are combat related. Attack, strength, which are both melee, ranged, magic, and then health. And so like those are just skills that exist on your character. And if you do a magic attack, you just gain magic XP. But if you bash a guy with your sword, you gain attack XP. Unless you do it a certain way, then you gain strength XP. And if you shoot a bow and arrow, you gain ranged XP. And so there's some people who will choose to have a pure account where they will only choose to level their ranged. And the purpose of that is that it keeps your overall combat like number level lower, which is good for certain circumstances. But eventually, like if you want to do the end game content, you have to get all of your combat levels to full, to 99. And then the way that you like change between them, quote unquote, is you just change your equipment. And there's end game bosses that will just start attacking you with magic. And so RuneScape's whole thing is it's like rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to get this wrong. I really should have remembered this for the sake of this. But it's like melee is good against ranged. Range is good against magic. Magic is good against melee. I might have that wrong, but like, that's how that goes. Mm-hmm. So when the boss starts attacking you with magic, you just start equipping your ranged equipment. And then you're like suddenly, I just smacked the mic. You're suddenly like more defended against the boss. And then you just change your equipment and you just do that. You're all of them. You're all of them.
That's
and if you
wild.
want to do all of the RuneScape content, you have to just level them all. I love
wild.
RuneScape so much.
How did it work for Final Fantasy with like the class? I've never played anything Final Fantasy. I watch people play the non-MMO versions, and that's all I've seen of it, really.
So if you've ever seen someone play something like Final Fantasy V, that has the most elaborate job system in the whole Final Fantasy range, that game is basically, quote unquote, the basis for the job system in Final Fantasy XI. It's not 100% the same, right? There are differences. But if you've seen someone play that offline game, you can say it's similar, right? So you start out with your character, and you, in the character creation menu, you pick a job. And you have only 6 jobs that you can pick from. You have White Mage, Black Mage, Red Mage, Thief, Warrior, and... what was the 6th one? I saw it the other day.
Monk?
Monk, thank you. Yes, exactly. So you can only pick out of those 6 jobs. That's it. But as soon as you're in the game, you can switch these jobs in your Mog house. So your own little small room, there is a Moogle in there, and you can go up to that Moogle and say, hey, I want to change my job, and you can go and change your job. And then all of a sudden you're a White Mage, or you're a Black Mage, or whatever you pick. And then at a certain point, you start, that's level 18. At level 18, you get access to a quest where you can get your sub-job unlock. Because you can be a Red Mage with a sub-job of Black Mage, or a sub-job of Ninja, or whatever, right? All of those have benefits, and some combinations are just absolutely trash. But yeah, so that's how this works, right? So you have your jobs, and you have in total... I should know these numbers by heart. You have in total 22 jobs, I think. That you can be. And for all the other jobs that are not the first 6, you need to go and do an unlock quest for them. And then you can go and level that job. And basically you can level up to 99, and your sub-job is always capped at 49. Half of the main job. Which is why back in the day when the level cap was 75, everyone would level their sub-jobs that they didn't want to play to level 37. Right. Now everyone levels them to level 39 or levels them to level 99, because you can level your character to level 99 in about half a day, if you know how, right?
That's insane. As a RuneScape player, that's insane.
Well, that's not 100% true, right? If you do it by yourself, it takes long. Right. If you do it in a way where you have some friends help you, it goes way faster. And if you power level yourself, which honestly I have done for my secondary and tertiary accounts, I just move them into an area, have them in party with me, and I just smack enemies with my main character, and ooh, you're level 99 now, congrats.
That's wild. Yeah, that's so different than my experience.
Yeah, and the job system is, you're basically just limited to those 2 jobs, right? You have all the abilities of both jobs. And for example, one of the reasons why people would want to have Ninja as a sub-job is to dual wield, which Ninja is one of the few jobs that can dual wield. That means that you get 2 weapon slots, and weapons in the game also give you benefits, right? They have certain abilities tied to them, and so on and so forth. So there is a good chunk of combination things that would work out in your favor of playing that. But you cannot change it on the fly. If you are a paladin going into into combat, you're a paladin until you die or the combat is over. If you die, you can warp back, and you could technically change your job. If your party can be kept alive, if you're not in an instance fight, you could maybe rejoin it, but yeah.
I feel like with Final Fantasy
crazy.
having the set precedent of Final Fantasy existing, in all of the games. I don't know when 11... Oh, here's a really stupid question, Red Mage. Did the MMO Final Fantasy 11 happen, come out after Final Fantasy 10? Is that how that worked?
Yesn't.
Okay.
we can talk about that as a separate
I'll be very
podcast.
curious about that. But so it's had 10 Final Fantasies, for lack of better phrasing, before it, that had this job precedent or the various versions thereof that existed in the various Final Fantasies. Like that makes sense for Final Fantasy to be that way. I mean, I'm not surprised to hear it works that way, I guess.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy XI was revealed to the masses at the so-called Square Millennium event. And at the Square Millennium event, Square Enix decided to show the world 3 games. Final Fantasy IX, the last hurrah for the PlayStation 1. Final Fantasy X, the introduction hurrah for the PlayStation 2. And Final Fantasy XI. Initially, they just wanted to call it Final Fantasy Online, but they made it a main numbered game, which is why I will play it on stream as well. Because I said every mainline game, and this is a mainline game now. So yeah, but that's it. So you had 8 games before 11 was announced, and that's But you had all the great, and that's why I'm saying, right? Final Fantasy V is the prototype in terms of jobs for Final Fantasy 11.
What about Tactics? My sweet baby Tactics.
Tactics is not. It's not. The thing with Tactics is you could say that Tactics had a little bit of that to it because of course of the group and party dynamics, right, that you had with that, but Tactics is not a mainline game. The same totally as Mystic Quest, Final Fantasy Adventure is not a mainline game as well. So
people love those games.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
with the professions stuff, the jobs. So we had your character. You'd choose a race, then you'd choose a class. So like mine was a blood elf priest because I could put her in tiny bikinis because that's what I liked. Don't read into it.
Say, of course you were.
And then each race had their own racial trait. So like I really liked the undead, that they could just eat corpses and just heal. I thought that was really fun. And then like my blood elf, a little silencing little thing, or like the miniature, so like little bloodlust, like a little haste buff that you had as a troll, which was really good for troll druids. So you'd have like race class combinations that were good. And aside from then, you pick your race, you pick your class, then you get to a certain level, and then you choose your subclass. So for mine, I was a discipline priest. I just like putting shields on everybody. It was great. And then I could, out of combat, go and change to a holy priest, and you could have 2 set up sort of once, but you'd have to be out of combat to change them. But like you'd have to then go and respec for Shadow Priest, the DPS version. But then on top of that, you also had professions. So like leatherworking, enchanting and stuff, you had to do that too. And then you'd have to go level them up. And if you wanted to change them, you'd have to start again from the beginning. And I just find it's like, I was so used to that. I'm like, oh yeah, you could just go and change them. I found that so crazy. I was like, I want that. Give me that.
So it's a little different.
You go first.
Yeah. It's a little different in Final Fantasy XI, of course, right? In general, you have your races, right? I played in Elvan because I like pointy ears. Don't read too much into that either. But contrary to a lot of people, I played a male character because, I don't even know why. I just thought, hey, that character looks fun, and I took that. And but you have in total 5 different races. You have Hume, Elvan, Taros, Galkas, and Mithras, and they all have a tiny bit of variance to them. Taros, for example, are mages first and foremost, so they get a little bit less HP, a little bit more MP, and as an Elvan, you're also a mage, but kind of a lesser mage if you want to. You still have good magic stats, but you have less MP than a Taro. Then you have Galkas. They're called meat shields for a reason. And then you have the Humes, which are just the basic average class. And then, of course, put the cat ladies in there as well. That's Mithras. But as soon as you hit, I want to say level 12, it doesn't matter anymore, because the tiny bit of difference in your base stats does not add up anymore, right? I mean, it gets elevated a tiny bit over time, but if I have like 5 or 6 points in charisma, it doesn't really, what does that change? That's the one unfortunate thing why your race doesn't matter in the game in the long run, and you could be basically good at everything, right? What you needed to do is you needed to level up your jobs, your skills, and then you had, like you said, your traits in Final Fantasy. They're called crafts. You didn't need them for the fighting aspect. Crafts are just a completely separate system where you can make money with. But yeah.
Which brings me to a point, because you've just said what I feel could be said to be true for WoW as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Shao, but I feel like you can play kind of like the WoW content and get the WoW experience without ever touching leather working or herb lore, or like you don't have to do those skills. And I feel like 90% of WoW is also combat focused. Would you say I'm wrong on that?
No, it's questing, combat, and like dungeons. Dungeons are really fun. Like early level dungeons are like good ways to level up and get XP, especially like if you want a power level with a party of friends, you'll just go together and queue them up, because you don't even need to run to the dungeon instances anymore. You could just queue up for them to do ones at your level.
When I went back into WoW and I saw that, crazy.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like when you guys say level up, like you mean combat. Your levels is always combat, really.
So you can get XP from professions, like just picking herbs will give you like a bean of XP, but the majority of it comes from handing in quests and combat.
Yeah. So RuneScape has 23 skills, and the 5 of them are combat, and the rest of them are what you would call skilling skills. So mining, tree. I'm a tree cutter. I just sit there and I just chop trees all day. And
I was a tree cutter.
Yeah. I would say 95% of my time spent playing RuneScape is not combat. And I'm still actively like leveling my account, and I'm still doing the RuneScape experience. Because with RuneScape, if you want to experience the content, and usually what I mean when I'm saying that is kind of like the quests, a lot of people that's how they'll dictate kind of what they do, right? It's pretty open. You can kind of do whatever the heck you want, but if you want to just plug through something, it's usually the quest book. You like skills, so mining, wood chopping, crafting, rune crafting, all of those are requirements to do quests. And so like you have to do them to play RuneScape. And I think that is something that is unique to RuneScape as an MMO. And it's definitely the reason I play RuneScape instead of anything else, because I really am not a combat boy.
It sounds a bit tedious to me, to be honest. Because if I have to keep track of a craft in parallel to all the other things, like let's put it this way. I have a level 110 woodworking on my main account, right? That's the max level that you can get. And I leveled all the sub crafts that you would need in order to do your 110 woodworking to 70, which is the sub level for those. I did all of that, right? I did all the crafting. I've had my fun with all of that. But it wasn't necessary to experience the storyline. Right, so I don't need to be able to craft that level 75 staff that everyone uses in order to go and defeat the Shadow Lord, because I can just go and smack him with my sword. Right, is that in RuneScape then, that you have to do these crafts in order to experience story, or?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's maybe another difference that I don't think I ever really kind of realized until literally just this moment. In RuneScape, there's certainly story that exists. Like there's lore, and there's stories that kind of pervade over the land, and there's gods and stuff. But like in my Final Fantasy MMO knowledge is Final Fantasy 14. And so in 14, I know there's like the one Uber quest line, right? And that's all one story that's being told. And then in WoW, you could argue kind of each expansion is kind of like its own story that's being told, I guess.
Yeah, so each one has a main theme, and it has little stories you could do for like fetch quests and things like that. And
Yeah.
Just like little things you could do that aren't really relevant but kind of are, like, oh no, the Lich King has done something and now my village is on fire. Can you find my cat? Like, they are related, but they're not progressing the main story. Like, that's normally what you do through the raiding, is you'd kill the boss, you'd get the cool cutscene, you'd get to know the lore, and you'd get the cool sword.
Yeah. RuneScape, I don't think, has quite as much of a main story. Like, I don't think I could point to anything that is the main story of RuneScape. Each quest has a little bit of a story to it. Like, we have a lot of those, like, go and find my cat kind of things. One of the very first quests is you bake a cake for some person in the castle. But there's no, like, overarching story that is the RuneScape mega quest line.
Wild.
And
that's wild.
Yeah. And so when I say, I think it's another thing that really needs to be explained about RuneScape is when I say a quest, like, you know how in WoW, so often your quest is going to be go and kill 10 boars.
Yeah.
Because of whatever reason, right? That, I mean, there really isn't much that's like go and kill 10 things. That's really not so much of what you would find in a RuneScape quest. But if there were, that would be like step one. So like in WoW, I would compare kind of one mid-level, mid-length RuneScape quest to be the equivalent of one of WoW's areas. What do you call those? Like an area.
Like a questing zone. Just like a zone. Yeah, just zone.
Yeah. So one zone in WoW, all of the quests in it are kind of like one RuneScape quest. Because there's just so many different steps to it. And then there's so many prerequisites. So a prerequisite can be various skill levels. So you'll need like 25 in herb lore. You'll need 15 in wood cutting. You'll also need to have done these 3 other quests. And then those 3 other quests will have prerequisites as well. So you might need level 50 mining. You might need level 45 smithing. And all of that combines together to be one RuneScape quest. So like RuneScape, the skilling is just as much of part of the reason you play RuneScape as the combat is. There's certainly a lot of people that will kind of focus on combat, but they will always have had to do skilling as well. And yeah.
I mean, in that regard, it then makes sense with the way that it is. If you don't have that large overarching narrative that you have to go through, then of course, in order to justify, there is something behind door number 3. How do you get to door number 3? Of course, it makes then sense that you would have to have, you're a master leather crafter, and because of that, someone approached you for something, and that's how you got to that quest line, right? So that totally makes sense then in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy in that regard. We have a storyline. Well, we have 10 storylines in total, I think. 10? No, something like that. They're the individual storylines. For the home nations, they converge into the standard Final Fantasy at the end. Then you have the add-ons, and then after the add-ons, there is now 2 storylines that are basically overarching storylines for everything that pulls everything back together. So, yeah.
Right. I want to ask you, this is starting a new topic here. So, because neither of you currently actively play your MMO of choice. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I will continue.
Yeah.
Will
but as of
start
this
it, but no, as of now, no.
Yeah. So if you were to open up your MMO and open up a character that you've already got and you already have played for, bunches of hours in the past, would your current gear and like level progression and all of that sort of stuff be relevant?
For leveling, yes. So you'd have to, because I'm like a few expansions behind, I'd have to play through the newer content to get to, if I was going to go for raiding and like doing Mythic Plus dungeons, which are like dungeons but with extra steps, they're harder and they have like extra things added to them like a dungeon would. So my character wouldn't physically be able to get there unless I own the expansion, and I'd have to get there and be the right level to enter the instances. So my gear would be fine for leveling up, probably would do me for quite a while because I had like the peak gear at the time, like the peak armor sets and things. but it wouldn't be relevant. I just die instantly getting anywhere difficult.
Yeah, like at one point in time it's probably best in slot, but now it's not.
Yeah, so it's not only best in slot, but you had things that were like during the Mists of Pandaria campaign, you had a cape that you had to get. It was a legendary cape, and you had to do stuff with it and put extra effort into it to make it really cool. Or in some raids, you'd have like sets of armor where it would literally say set piece, and the 4 sets together would give you something really cool. So like my druid had a really cool set in one of them, and like you would, if you didn't have it, you weren't allowed to raid in my guild. If you didn't have the best in slot armor and you were applying for the Team 1 raid, if you didn't have it, if your logs were good but you didn't have the gear, you weren't there. So we'd add you to Team 2, gear you up in Team 2 so you could come and play with a Team 1. So like you like the armor sets and like rings, and you'd have to have enchantments on it. You'd also have to consume food that would give you buffs before combat, and potions before and during. And so that stuff that I'd have would be fine for leveling, but I couldn't do any end tier content.
Fucking keeners. It's so cool though. I love it. Remage, what about you? Like, if you had best in slot stuff 10 years ago, what is its relevance now?
Well, 10 years ago, you can go and pound sand with that. That's about it. No, so as I said, I logged in again, right? Just the other day in order to get everything ready, and a lot of my stuff would still be relevant even 5 years in now. But the game has progressed. We have gotten a complete new storyline since I've stopped playing, right? And with that came a lot of other stuff, and of course they introduced some more things to it. So with the gear that I have, what I can do is basically all the end game level stuff that I have been doing before, right? The new stuff, I would need to upgrade most of my gear, but it's not completely useless. They have introduced something called item level instead of having your job level increase further beyond level 99. So I think when I stopped, we were absolute max endgame. We were at item level 135, right? And so it's basically just once you hit level 99, your gear is basically what decides your level, right? And with that, so for example, I have some of the endgame swords that they're showing eye level 119 because that's the max level that you can get on them. And then in order to get to the 135 level, you would have then the extra add-ons on them, right? So the 119 sword is still okay. I just don't have all the add-ons done to that sword that make it 135. So
that's a cool way of handling that.
Yeah, the gear is some of the gear is obsolete, but most of the gear can be augmented in order to get to the new level that you need it to be.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
And especially with some of the main gear that you would grind years for back in the day, that's one of the ways to preserve that. Like we have 3 different I just call them to make it easy, mythical level weapons, right? And they come from the different expansion packs. And to get, for example, the red mage sword that I have, it took about half a year for me to grind all that together.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And if that would now be obsolete, yeah.
Do you guys have RNG protection, I guess, on drops? I feel like WoW did.
So the thing with WoW, it got weird with drops and things. So I was in a guild, and then loot would drop, and then you'd be like, oh, it's leather, it could go to the hunter or the druid or whoever. Who needs it more? Who's performing better? Like, the guild would take that into account. If you're doing stuff with other people now, you can get an item that'll just appear into your inventory. Most of it is tradable. So, like, you could get the best, and it could be the best for you, and you'd have got it, so that'd go in your favor. But, say, for instance, I'm still mad about this. We kill a boss on Mythic so many times that we started selling boosts for it for in-game currency to go into our guild bank, and I still didn't get the mount, and other people had paid for boosts, got the mount drop before I did, and won because we like /roll for it in the chat, and you'd get it if like 2 people needed something equally. So some things have protections on it that it's like it's soul-bound items that only you can pick them up, or if it drops and you're like in a raid with other people, you don't have to give it to them if they're not in your guild. Yeah. Just like no expectations of it. Or for things like they did like a basic raid, and then they did what we just called LFR, which is looking for raids, so you'd queue up for it. So it'd be like the same gear but just less stats on it and like lower item level. So you'd have those things protect. They'd just come to you and somebody'd ask you like, hey, do you need that? And you go, yeah, it's sod off. I want it. Go away. But with the guilds, it was like rolling for it.
If you're grinding the same boss, say you've done that same boss 500 times and the one drop you don't want, or the one drop you do want has not dropped yet, does the game mechanic itself like recognize this, orange drop hasn't dropped in 500 times, I'm going to do it? No way. Okay. No. RuneScape's the same. And I seem to have it in my head that other MMOs did have that. No. But maybe I'm remembering that from some other game.
Maybe, yeah. So Final Fantasy, when it comes to loot drop, it's you have 3 ways that loot would drop, basically. You can just let the system do its thing, and it just drops to whoever, right? You can roll for it. And one of the systems that I liked really is the Quartermaster system, where you join a party, Quartermaster is turned on, and with that, you do not get any drops. The drops that are not exclusive go to the Quartermaster, right? They will get the drops.
Oh, okay.
And then everything that is exclusive to one character, i.e. you can't trade it or sell it or anything, that is then either for the Quartermaster to assign to a person, or you can, again, let people roll for it if you want to.
Right. That makes
and that
sense.
way you protect at least the drop from people just trying to game the system and roll for it where they weren't supposed to.
Very cool.
But even with like older sets, so World of Warcraft had something called transmogrification. You could make an armor that's plate look like a different type of armor that's plate. I remember doing one specific raid, having to go in and kill something specific about 70 times before I got it, and I was like, that was pretty good. I'd gotten quite lucky, and it was just for a tiny plate bikini. So even older stuff, it was still grindy. They still like had just a percentage drop rate, and that was it. You were just on your own waiting for it to drop.
Yeah.
So you could just never get something that was really good. You could get maybe like your second best, but sometimes if the raid had just progressed without you.
Yeah. Yeah, RuneScape's the same as it just is pure RNG, new raid each time. I'm so glad we don't have transmogs. It's nice to like actually know what people are wearing, I guess. But I would go around in my bronze armor plate skirt and like bronze armor plate mail, which is the lowest tier of armor or whatever, even though I was like level whatever, high level, because I was a cute MMO girly who just wanted to, so stupid.
So you used to be able to like inspect a player's character. So if you stood next to somebody, you could click on them, you could see what they were wearing and what the item they'd made that armor look like was called. Yeah. So you could see both, and you also had things like there was a website where you could go and you could check people's characters out and like what servers they were on and stuff like that, and you could see all of that information. And then Warcraft logs, which would be like you could see how people had done and what gear they were wearing, if they'd used potions and stuff at the time. Like WoW goes really hard on it.
Our equivalent of that is you can check people's stats, and like the RuneLite plugin has a like quick access to people's stats, so you can just see how much XP they have in every skill. It's really about it, because stats are where it's at for us. A well-known RuneScape fact is that the amount of time it takes you to level from level 1 to 92 is the same amount of time it takes you to level from 92 to 99. Is that the same with you guys? Like, is it like exponential experience like that? I don't know if it's quite exponential, but it's certainly growing.
So in Final Fantasy, you have a certain set of more XP over the last level that you needed to get, but it's not exponential in any way or something like that. I don't have the exact numbers in my head right now, but it's at some stage it's like, oh yeah, the next level is 5,000 more, and then the next level after that is another 5,000 more compared to the previous level. So you're going from 45 to 50 to 55 to 60, that kind of stuff.
I see.
But back when 75 was the cap, getting to 75 took you weeks and weeks and weeks. And they at some stage went actually and made the experience range quite more easy on that high level, because in the end game you would still only get like 300-400 experience points per enemy defeated, like, and you still had to go your 55 or 60,000 experience points, which was just bonkers, because the enemies also took very, very long to die. I remember trying to get beyond level 50 at one stage, and it took me about a week only to get to 55. Right, because of course you needed to find parties, because you didn't have the possibility of doing that alone, or if you would do that alone you would get like 12 experience per enemy killed, because you can't really do more than that by yourself. And nowadays it's easy to level, but it's still the progression. So if I take the power level sellers that you would find, they take about 2 mil for the first 50 levels, and they take another 3 for or another 4 for the last 50. So it takes more time for that as well.
I feel like this is another thing. So like RuneScape, you're talking years to get one skill to 99. I don't know if that's been made clear. So like, I mean, you could maybe do it in a year. You could maybe grind a skill to 99 in a year, especially now with skilling skills. They are introducing better ways of leveling rather than just sitting there fucking chopping a tree for 99 levels of experience. There are kind of more mini games you can play that get you that, but like it's many multiples of years for an account to be maxed. It's insane. And I think another thing that's really different about RuneScape, again, OSRS, old school RuneScape, is like we don't have, you guys have the expansion packs or whatever you call it, expansions.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist for us. So you pay me your membership and like, that's it. There is new content introduced into old school RuneScape, but do you guys know like what old school RuneScape is compared to RuneScape 3 or the main RuneScape?
I have no experience.
I played RuneScape 3. I played RuneScape 3. I was introduced to it by a guy who was dating at the time.
So sorry.
And then all of my friends who I played WoW with was like, don't play that, play old school RuneScape. So I started playing some old school RuneScape, and I was just like, I'm going to chop some trees, I'm going to go fishing, I just liked doing the non-thinky things and just go and chop a tree, which was really nice, just really chill. Kind of like mindfulness of just go chop a tree, hang out.
Yeah, that's a whole like concept in RuneScape is you can choose to spend your time in RuneScape based on how much attention you want to pay to it, right? Like there's loads of stuff where you can just chuck it on a second monitor or chuck it on your phone, and you only have to click once every minute and a half. And it's like an idle cookie clicker. It really is. And you'll gain experience that way. Or you can choose to pay full attention to it and do like actual clicking stuff, and you just gain experience more quickly because you're doing a more attention focused thing. But okay, let's talk RuneScape versus RuneScape 3 versus OSRS. So original RuneScape released in 2001, but it became the kind of the RuneScape that most people know was introduced in 2004, and that original RuneScape became RuneScape Classic. And it's not like the WoW Classic. It was rough. You could try it and you could play it, and it was interesting to see where RuneScape originated. It was like it's a browser game first, right? But so 2004 is kind of like when RuneScape really started. But then in 2012, Jagex introduced the evolution of combat, where they changed combat to be like fucking WoW. And nobody liked that. And the community got pretty cranky about it. And it was also around that time where they really started introducing microtransactions, and the RuneScape community went like batshit insane over a period of time. Like they introduced the Squeal of Fortune, which was your standard, like you log in once a day and you get one wheel spin and you get either an item or money or whatever BS. And that was bad enough. It was annoying enough, but then you could start paying for more spins.
Ugh.
And then they made it so that the wheel gave you loot boxes and horrible, right? So the community went up on arms and actually did the internet thing that you wish the internet did more of. And they spoke with their wallets and they said, okay, up yours, we're out. Until it was found and decided that they found a backup copy of RuneScape from 2007. And they said, why don't we chuck this up on the internet for people to play and see if they still enjoyed it? So that's why you might often hear it called 2007 Scape, or 07 Scape. And so in 2013, old school RuneScape was introduced. And so there's RuneScape 3 and then there's old school RuneScape, and they're developed separately. So I don't know how RuneScape 3 works, don't care. Old school RuneScape took on like hot shit. It took on like wildfire. Way more people play old school RuneScape than RuneScape 3. And the way that it in any new content is introduced is it's polled first. So like in your banks, you'll see a little poll booth and you in the game go and vote on things. Yes, I want this, or no, I don't want this. And it has to pass with a 75% approval rate before they'll introduce it. And it's just like a free update, you're paying your membership fees, but it's a free update. It's not like an expansion that you have to buy. And one of the biggest like rules, I guess, that Jagex, the devs, have placed on themselves for introducing any new content is that it cannot make any previous content or items or anything degenerate. Like it can't make them useless. So an item that I had in 2015 is still going to be just as good now in 2025. And it's, so I log into my old account and it's exactly where it was. And it's so wonderful to play that way. It does mean that the new content is like, it's tough to get new content into the game because players can be really finicky. But we're getting a new skill soon. We're getting sailing. I didn't want sailing. I wanted one of the other ones, but sailing's fine. I'm curious to see what happens with it. But yeah, I really love that. I love the way that when you piss off for 5 years and then come back, your effort and your hours are not lost.
Yeah.
With WoW, once you've got the main raid done and then you're just waiting for the next expansion, you'll finish gearing up, getting ready for it. Release day, I would just like book a week off, and I would power level, and by like day 2 I'm in a full different armor set. None of it matches anymore. It's not cute anymore. I've got no tiny plate bikini because I can't be able to pay to transmog every new piece. Everything was just basically like starting almost afresh again every time a new expansion comes out, of just having to grind, figure out what monstrous changes they have made to my discipline priest. They changed my priest so badly I switched to druid, and I'd played druid for like 2 years, but I'd played priest for like 5 before it, and they just genuinely ruined it.
I think what you're describing is a huge part of the reason why a lot of WoW players are now coming over to RuneScape. Are you aware of this current, like actual right now current phenomenon? RuneScape has the highest, old school RuneScape has the highest player count it has ever had right now, because a lot of WoW players have yeeted from WoW and they're coming over to RuneScape. And it started with a lot of the big streamers and YouTubers or whatever, and then their communities have followed them. And it's had some real staying power. Like when you look at the graph of concurrent players or whatever, the last like 6 months have been a really, really steady incline. And we're like, our peak is 250,000 players, which is like kind of a lot, I think. And it's because a lot of the WoW people are coming over to OSRS and they're loving it because it doesn't do what you were just describing.
Of just making you feel like all of your effort was just wasted.
There's no dailies in RuneScape.
Oh,
so nice.
there were weeklies, there were dailies, there were weekly bosses to do, weekly raids, daily dungeons, and also like one of the worst things they did was they made something called the Timeless Isle, and it was an area you'd go to, and you'd have to grind out dailies on that. And because I was so sweaty at the time with so many like things going on, like I had to do it for like 5 characters, so every Wednesday I'd just be there for 12 hours grinding away for 5 characters every single Wednesday. Yeah.
And I feel like when it's a video game, you want to be looking back on that amount of time spent with fondness, not with disdain, right?
Yeah, all of the raiding stuff, amazing. Like, the guild I was in, kind of sweaty, but I had some really good friends there, and like doing that together was really fun. You just complain about it and you just get it over with. And like the lore, the leveling, all of that is great. It's just the gear being just made obsolete.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Well, you get the titles, you get achievements in game, but like, you killed the boss, you killed Mythic Archimond, here's a cool title. You get that, but the gear that you spent so long grinding for, gone. Just gone so soon.
That's wild.
Which is why I really love the fact that all of my special weapons that I have, that they can be just augmented on and on and on, and made still useful today, right? But you were saying about the highest player count. So there is with the servers, how it works with Final Fantasy, Square Enix had to pull the plug on new player signups for Asura. So that server is full. They said no more new signups there. You cannot get a gold world pass and move someone over to that server. That server is done for new accounts for now, because they have seen a major congestion, because Final Fantasy XI has gone through its own resurgence as well, and we have gotten a lot of more players back into the game because they're not happy with certain things in Final Fantasy XIV, and coming from other MMOs and just having a look at what was this game about and stuff. So
how much is one server? Like how many people is that?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. They don't disclose that. I remember back when they did that back in the day, after they shut down half of the servers, because they had a forced migration of most of from 16 down to 8 servers. We had a daily concurrent active player count of over 6,000 people on that one server. Again, Final Fantasy XI has never been that big, right? We had like peak player count was, I think, 500,000 or something like that. So we're not talking the millions and millions that WoW could attract at the time, but still, we had a good number of people on active on the servers as well at the same time. So yeah. So when you're looking at the servers, could you see when you're playing it, like, can you see like when you're making the character, like, hey, this is like a busy server? No.
Like, was there anything to show that? No.
Oh, that's interesting. Because in WoW, that was part of like kind of how you chose which server you played
back in the day. You couldn't even choose which server you wanted to go to. The system would auto do that in order to make sure that you are associated with the least populated servers to even out the server numbers. Right. You could get world passes, as they were called, in order to just have someone, if you want to join someone on their server, they go in-game, buy a world pass for 1,000 gil, so nothing, and you could then join that server because someone was there, and you would even get a cool hat for that, because you then had the have you ever seen the mandragoras in Final Fantasy, these the cute kind of figures? Well, they exist in black and white, and in the black one is then the inviter gets that hat, and the invitee gets a white hat.
Cool.
And they even have like a thing where they have an ability that when both are together, that the invitee would get a little bit more XP and stuff like that. It was really fun and cute. Nice. So yeah.
That sounds like such a couple thing. Can you imagine couples doing that and being so cute together?
I mean, you can get married in the game. Like actual married. There is an actual wedding ceremony that you can go through.
Yeah.
And that's not just players deciding to do that. No, that is you can go and register for that, and that's an in-game cutscene where your character and your other friend's character are the main protagonists in the wedding ceremony. They coded that into the game. Yes,
That's an FF14 as well, right?
Sorry?
Like I think I've seen people do that in FF14 as well. Yeah. Super cute.
That's crazy. Because like
really,
in WoW, you had the server thing where like it'd be like, oh, this is a server recommended for beginners. So I started on like Azure Mist, but it was like a really quiet server. It was low population, and then you had some that were like PvP only, some that were medium, some that were high, and then you'd have like queues to get on servers because a server could have like different population amounts. So you could have like on release day, you could have like 1,000 people waiting. You'd be in the queue for ages if you weren't already logged on, like trying to get in there as soon as possible. You'd just be sat waiting if you picked a higher population server. But even the lower population ones, if everybody wanted to play at once, you're gonna be waiting ages.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that you never had with Final Fantasy XI, where you had a queue to wait on to sign into the server, right? Sometimes the server would say, yeah, you can't sign in right now. And then you try again. But usually after, I think, 3 tries, you would be kicked out back to the Play Online viewer, which is the launcher. And then you had to go through it again. That would level out the amounts of attempts a bit more. But there was never a queue like that for logging in. But
do you guys have any equivalent? This is totally new subject. Do you guys have any equivalent of an Iron Man mode in RuneScape? Because it's a single player game, basically. Because playing essentially single player became, and when I say single player, I mean like you're still logged in on the servers, you're still like having other people walk around and you're still yapping at them, but you're just doing your own shit. You're just doing everything yourself. Because that's so popular on RuneScape, they introduced Iron Man mode, which essentially removes trading from the game. So you can't trade with anybody. So like right now, if I wanted a rune plate mail, if I was not an Iron Man, I could go to the Grand Exchange, like our marketplace, and I could just buy one. And I don't have the smithing skill to make one. But because I'm an Iron Man, if I want a rune plate body, I need level 60, 65 smithing in order to get one because I have to make it myself. Do you guys have any equivalent of that?
We had role-playing servers where people would try and stick to lore, but it was like a lot of the role-playing was weird.
Yes.
Yes, spicy. The Gold Shire Inn outside Stormwind, if you know, you know. And people would pay money for your character to dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like people would RP and do stuff, and like you could run everywhere, or you could just like press the slash key and your character would RP walk everywhere. So there's some people that wouldn't do that stuff because they wouldn't be doing all the grindy stuff. They'd be playing like as an actual human would be.
Sure.
Or like an
like
actual
forced single player style stuff.
No, the only thing that's really like that is like hardcore World of Warcraft where like you get one life, that's it. That's pretty much the only forced thing you ever have. Normally you can respawn, you can do whatever you want, you can do whatever you want in WoW, buy things, sell things, trade things. As long as they're not soulbound items, you can just do whatever you want.
What happens in hardcore when you die? Does your character just end?
Your character ends and it sends a message in like the chat that'll be like, Shallarissa level 59 has died, and you just see like a load of Fs pop up in the chat afterwards.
Sick.
Yeah,
that's so fun.
Because one of my mods played a lot of hardcore, and he got his character to the maximum level, and it says when you get to the maximum level, it says it in your guild chat and everything, and everybody congratulates you, and he kept getting loads of messages with like congratulations, which was really nice to see, like really wholesome, genuine congratulations on an achievement.
Yeah. We have a hardcore Iron Man as well, which is still no trading, and then same thing. But with us, if you die, you don't like lose the character, you just lose your hardcore status. So like you have a thing that says hardcore and it just isn't there anymore. And then we have ultimate hardcore, which is fucking wild. And it's you can't trade, same death thing. So if you die, you lose it. But also you can't bank. So you only ever have 28 inventory slots, and there's no backpacks or anything in RuneScape. So you just cannot use a bank. You have to live your entire RuneScape life with these 28 inventory slots, and that's it. So crazy. I don't think a lot of people do that, but I think maybe people who have been playing RuneScape since 2004 and are dead inside, maybe we'll do it for a challenge or something. But yeah.
No, so for Final Fantasy we don't have that at all. There is no in the game mode that you can activate or anything, or hardcore to just have one life and that's it. That said, there is of course a few things where people would say, "Oh, I have been going on and I have done that, and I have accomplished this in single player stuff." That's about it. Right.
Yeah.
There was one specific battlefield that I remember that I did a lot solo, because if you would have certain event weapons that not everybody had, right? And if you then go in as a red mage / ninja, you could basically just pummel the boss by yourself, and the boss would never do anything because the boss would never get damage from you, only from the added effect of you, which means that the boss would never get the action points in order to do its one blow kill move. So yeah, fun.
Is that your second class? Is ninja? Are you a red mage ninja?
No, I've.
What are you?
So if we wanna go into the progression of Tharion, I started out as red mage, of course. I played for a while. I stopped at around level 37. I didn't really feel the game at the time, just time wise and everything. And then I came back. That must have been, so I started 2005, as I said. I came back to it mid 07, then leveled up to somewhere in the 50s, and then my then girlfriend wanted to join in, but that didn't really work out, so I left off the game. And then it really started for me in 2010, right? From there it just went on, and I switched over to White Mage. I played White Mage main for a good number of years, being the main healer, right? White Mage was my first level 75 job, and then moved on to the first level 99 job, and so on and so forth. From there, I moved over to Paladin, so being the tank for the group for a while. So support job, right? I couldn't do the damage, but I can help the group. While in the background leveling my red mage, have the red mage there, because a red mage is also a very important job, because there is a few things that only a red mage can do. And then from there I wanted to do some DPS, so I went into blue mage, because blue mage is a very strong DPS candidate, and it has this fun mechanic of you need to go to enemies, learn their spells in order to then set the spells for yourself, so that would boost the way that you play a blue mage, which makes this a very versatile job. And then it just spiraled from there, right? I mean, I look at my relic weapons that I have. I have the all the one-handed swords that you can have, because red mages can use all the one-handed swords, but I also have the all the two-handed swords, which is only for rune fencer and for dark knights and warriors, right? So why do I have those? And then I have all the ranger weapons. I am currently, the one that I'm working on when I stopped playing was a ranged weapon that is specific to the job of Corsair, which is kind of a ranger / thief mix, if you want, right? So with just a luck element, because the Corsair's ability is you roll the dice, and if you roll a specific number or an 11, because of course Final Fantasy 11, 11. If you roll a specific number, you would get a boost in that ability that you roll with, or if you roll a specific number, you would even get a detriment to what you were doing. So I've played a lot.
That's fun.
But
just like a little, just like once or twice.
Just a tiny bit.
I love cheeky little Easter eggs like that, like the rolling the 11. I feel like I remember learning that there was something 14 in that as well, in 14, but I don't remember what it was. But
I have not played enough 14 to do that. 14 was the one game where, so outside of 11, I have played 2 other MMOs. I have played Lord of the Rings Online, and I have played Final Fantasy 11, right? Final Fantasy 14. Lord of the Rings Online, I played for about a month, and then my subscription ended and I didn't renew it. because it was fun. It was nice. Oh, it got boring.
Wow.
Yeah,
slander.
I don't know. It was maybe because I didn't have an immediate group that I could latch on to, or something like that. I just remember, hey, it's interesting, it's fun, it's let's go back to 11. Because also the games are so different, right?
Sorry, I was gonna ask Shal what other MMOs she's played.
I played OSRS.
Yeah.
I played RuneScape 3. I played those a bit while I was grinding out the Timeless Isle. I'd have like Warcraft here and then old school RuneScape here, just like doing whatever, just chopping down a tree. Awesome. I'd also tried with my current partner, Mr. Shalarissa, hello. He made me play Guild Wars because we played a bit of WoW, but life started lifing, so we didn't have time to play together, and like I was getting a bit burnt out with the hardcore raiding stuff, and it was like petering off from there. So we tried Guild Wars. One thing I really didn't like is there was no dedicated healer. There was the shaman character, the elementalist, who had healing abilities, but was still a damage character with a bit of healing. So there was no full support, there's no full healer, and that is what I like to do in video games. I'm playing with other people. I'm gonna be the hype man. I'm gonna heal them. I'm gonna buff them. I'm gonna shield them. I don't like being in melee because I'm a tiny little squishy baby. I don't like any games, like even like League of Legends and stuff. I don't like being melee characters in anything. I like being a supportive healer character, and I didn't like that it didn't have that. But we still did all the quests. The quests and stuff were interesting. It had similar mechanics of like auction houses, races, and classes you could choose. And then I started doing parkour. Which I was like, you'd have to do jumping puzzles, and I have the coordination of a spoon.
In game?
In game.
So
no, just in real life. I just It was like, oh, there's a piece of loot that we need at the end of this jumping puzzle. Why is there a jumping puzzle in my MMO? What are you doing? So stuff like that was interesting. I also played. I played Adventure Quest 3D. For a bit with some friends. Yeah, that was fun. That was only like 4 years ago that I played that. Which it was fairly recent. I just didn't play any other games. When I played WoW was all consuming. I played very little else. It was 6 days a week. The main healer of Team 1, the raid leader of Team 2, PvPing, doing I was a social officer in my guild, so anybody with problems, any applications come through, that all come to me. So it'd be like literally a full-time job while I was at college. So I was studying to become a professional baker and pastry chef, and then just getting home playing WoW until like 3 a.m. every day with my Americans as well, like that had come over from the US servers.
Yeah.
So the problem is I'll always forever compare everything to WoW because that's what I know so much of.
Yeah.
That if it doesn't have a lot of stuff that I liked, I'm just gonna be like, oh, it wasn't as good as WoW. Even though I'm not actively playing WoW, I'm still just gonna compare it.
Yeah.
To I would call like my heyday of playing WoW when I was really cool.
Yeah, and that's the same thing for me as well, right? I mean, I compare everything to 11, right? Going into 14, right? 14 is more WoW-like, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people came back to 11 back in the day when 14 was released, because they tried it and they saw that it is WoW, just in a Final Fantasy shell, and then they said, yeah, we're coming back to 11, and yeah, the comparison, and you. Specifically for 11, because of the way that combat and everything works and is so completely different than WoW, Guild Wars, and all of the others, it's really hard for people also to get into 11 right now because it is way slower, way less you need to do these things. You need to time things, but not as to the extent that you have it in those fast-paced games, which, it's kind of interesting. Sorry, Toadie.
I feel like WoW has a lot going on when you start. And then RuneScape is entirely player-led. You just go do a thing.
Yeah, very much.
And then would you say Final Fantasy is kind of like a bit of both, as a bit of guidance, but also kind of figure it out for yourself?
So Final Fantasy was always a community game, first and foremost. Like, all the additions to make it soloable have only come in the last 10 to 12 years, I want to say. Right. Before that, as soon as you hit level 10, you're in party mode. You have to have 5 other friends to play with. Well, not your friends, but
screw
you can have random groups and everything. You're not forced into random groups, which is why I stopped playing 14, because it forces you into random groups at some stage, or used to. It doesn't do it nowadays anymore. But back in the day, it was like, yeah, if you wanted to get anywhere, you needed to have a party, right, in order to level and do things. So
yeah, that's what I'm out. You can do the entirety of RuneScape solo. It's so nice. But like, that speaks to a very specific person, and I think so much of MMOing for people is the exact opposite of that, right? Like they want to be hanging with their guild members and their raid friends and stuff. But if you were told that you have 2 weeks of completely free time, no responsibilities, let's say money's not a factor, you just get to exist in the world for 2 weeks. You have to spend that time playing an MMO, and it cannot be an MMO that you've already played. Which MMO are you choosing? What's the MMO that you kind of like want to try, but wouldn't because you already have the one you have?
Can I say WoW Classic?
No, you cannot.
I mean, after hearing Red Mage and like some other streamers I've been watching play Final Fantasy, I'd probably just give it a go for just 2 weeks if I had like nothing else to do and like no money. I'd just grind away, chip at it, see how I liked it. Because like when I see Red Mage go live and it's just a wall of the words Final Fantasy every time on the go live message, I'm like, oh man, this game sounds real interesting.
Yeah.
I'd probably give that a shout. Or like the problem is I've already played RuneScape back in the day, like, so there's not many other MMOs that I know of that look equally as interesting.
Red Mage?
I've given up on MMOs. That's it.
No, you
I
have
don't
to
I don't even know any other MMOs other than the ones that we have been talking about. Like,
really, eh?
Yeah, no. So the only one other one that we haven't spoken about that I have in my mind is the Warhammer MMO, but I don't think that doesn't even exist anymore, right? So yeah, no, there's no real MMO that I would have been looking at that I would say I would like to try out if I had the time.
Well, my very like there's a word that I'm looking for that I can't find. It's not guilty, it's not creepy. My like little like I don't know kind of interest is EVE Online. I'm so curious about that. But like,
see, that didn't even cross my brain.
There's no way.
I know of it, but yeah.
What a clusterfuck to try to get into, I think, as a new person. But I'm so curious what that's all about. I would love to give it a try, consequence free for 2 weeks, and then go back to trying.
And I think that's the thing. That's the main hurdle to overcome, because you go in with a certain expectation, and you have a certain view on things. You know that it will take time to learn it, and you know that it will cause serious effort to get into it if you want to experience it properly. That it makes it very much not interesting to even consider going into anything else. One of the questions that I had noted down for myself was, what made you come back to the games that you have been playing over and over again for these MMOs? And I think that is the answer, because you know it, because it feels familiar, and because you do not have that steep learning curve to get back into doing something. Like when I just logged in the other day, first thing that I did is I went through my inbox, see if I still had something in there, went to the auction house, dropped off all the other stuff that I still had on my account, and then from there I familiarized myself with the combat by just going outside and punching a few enemies, and that's still all the same.
That's how that works.
And it still works. It's still the same. It's still the same game that I used to play.
Especially because we're all like old and have jobs and stuff. Like, yeah, I could understand being either doing maybe those full-time WoW streamers, their whole job is playing video games, right? So like hopping into a new MMO for them, like RuneScape, makes sense because that's how they spend their time, or kids or whatever. But yeah, I couldn't fathom trying to get proper enjoyment out of a new to me MMO. Even when I tried WoW Classic I don't know, I feel like it was a couple years ago now, or maybe last year or something. And I'm familiar with WoW. I played a lot of WoW, and it's WoW Classic. In theory, it should be what I know. I was still like, this is weird. I don't understand. Yeah, I think it's a really good point.
What I will say, if I had the option to get something out of my MMO life, it would be give me Final Fantasy XIV's visuals bolted onto Final Fantasy XI, because the games are the same, visually speaking, quote unquote, right? I mean, different engine. Forget about the technical difficulties. You have the same kind of races in there. They're called a bit different, but they look the same, right? Just updated visuals. Fantasy. Yeah. Give me that HD texture pack, basically. That would be my thing that I would really love to have.
But do you not find like the older textures are more nostalgic? And I feel like emotionally attached to, like, I was looking at playing Warcraft 3 and they have the Reforged version. I looked at the Reforged version and they gave you options to toggle between the two, which I think is amazing. But the old ones just look so much more nostalgic and so much more fun. Do you think that you'd like the games that you've played more if they had more updated graphics? Or do you really like the nostalgia?
One of the things that my windowr has is a program called 11 Pivot, which is basically just a fancy way of changing out your ROM files, i.e. the textures, with other textures. So yeah,
right.
I have done that for years and years already, because certain areas, they just haven't aged that well. I mean, we're talking about a game that is in its core 25 years old, in its initial release 23-ish years officially, so it is dated looking. And in certain things, and this is one of the fun things, when I think of specific areas in what we call Sky, it's just that I remember them vivid and active. And if I go in them with the standard textures now, it just looks dull for some reason, right? But then someone has made textures that are way brighter, way more vibrant. Like there's a lot of green on white marble-like structure, if you want, like overgrown moss thing, right? And just that moss looks very brownish in the standard textures, whereas those texture packs make it more greenish, more alive. And that's just those little changes. And then of course it's a little bit more high def and stuff, so it makes a difference to it.
Damn it, I'm gonna go buy a RuneScape membership. I'm so pissed, honestly. Like, man, I just want to play RuneScape now.
Isn't that the thing with all of our podcasts?
It's a serious problem. And like, all I'm gonna bloody do is put it on that screen and like click a tree every minute and a half, but I'm gonna have so much fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing through the storyline of 11 now, which is, since I finished Final Fantasy IV the After Years, this is the next Final Fantasy that I will stream. So yeah, I'm
ballpark, because your streams, let's say your streams are like 6-ish hours a stream,
4-ish hours,
4-ish hours a stream. How many streams, how many hours do you think that's going to take you
next year
to do? Yeah, like it's going to be that long.
Yeah,
right?
I think around my birthday I should be done.
Wild.
Which
I guess
is
if
about
that's
9
you
months,
doing it
10 months.
one stream a week.
Yeah, one stream a week. Right. That's the main thing for it. I don't want to go into it too overbearing. Right. I felt it now with After Years, because for the last 3 weeks I streamed it 2 days a week, and I just want it to be done.
Yeah, I feel like I remember your titles being like, I swear this is the last one.
Yeah. I didn't expect that to be such a grind at the end. But since we are at the end of our podcast, we have a segment that we do at the end where we suggest to people to do something. So I would ask our guest to give us our first suggestion. Do you have a game that you want people to play, or something else that you just want to have people do?
I was not ready for this.
It's time to talk about my one true love in life, Raft. I played Raft in its entirety 9 full times, I'm still waiting for them to sponsor me just to get me to shut up about Raft. And me and a fellow stream team member, Lily Bean, we really like Raft. I met my best friend playing Raft because we were both streaming it at the same time, and I've played it at least twice a year, every year in its entirety.
It's a great game.
Incredible game.
It's
so
so
fun.
good.
And people don't realize it's not just sandbox. Once you build the first bit, there are stories and progressions to do. Play it to the end. Play Raft, play it through, get some friends, be a gremlin on a raft.
I'll second that. I've played through Raft, I think twice in full now as well. It's a great little game. It's super fun.
I haven't even started modding, and they have a whole modding community and like so many mods with it as well to do once you finished. And I haven't started that yet. And I'm like, 400 hours in.
Yeah, that's crazy. I will take my suggestion slot, and I'm going to replace it. That's the word I'm looking for, with a quick little shout out to my dear friend, Holly, with 2 Ys, who met her now husband on the MMO Maple Story. I attended their wedding a couple of weeks ago, and they met 13 years ago, I believe, on Maple Story. And they met each other in real life and have been together for 13 years and are now wed. And so, I think that's the power of MMOs. And maybe my suggestion is, I've heard Maple Story Classic is coming out soonish. Give it a shot. Apparently it is it has the grind factor that old school RuneScape has, as in XP takes forever. But it is much, much more community focused and much more combat focused. But you need to grind and grind to get the XP. So give Maple Story Classic a try when it comes out. And shout out to Holly and Iggy. I love you both.
They're great.
Red
yes,
Mage?
Absolutely.
I met Holly in real life, and Holly was really nice.
Isn't she lovely? Yeah.
Nice.
She's so nice.
So I was thinking about what do I want to recommend, because I could recommend Final Fantasy XI right now and be done with it, but that's not the spirit here, right? So I was thinking, I have played 14 for about 500 hours ish, right, give or take. Which game did I play more than that? And so I want to go and recommend a dearly beloved game to our dear Toadie as well, called RimWorld. Because I have more hours in RimWorld than in Final Fantasy XIV. So if you want to have one of the best colony building games that I have played, go do that.
And the added joy of telling all your friends that you're rimming.
Yes.
While you're playing RimWorld. Another free bonus of that.
I literally was playing RimWorld until half an hour before our recording. It's a lot of fun.
See?
Is that the achievement you said you were grinding out?
No, that's something else. I wish, that's one thing about RimWorld is they don't have achievements, eh? I'm bummed about that, but great game.
Very great game.
Sorry, Red Mage.
No, that's fine. That's totally fine. So, friends, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to hear from a lot of people that they like this episode. So give us a plus, give us a recommendation, give us a comment on YouTube and all the good things.
And if people want to hear more of Shal, and watch her play things like Warcraft 3 and Raft, where can they do so, Shal?
Twitch.tv/Shalarissa.
Perfect.
Yeah. Go there. Do it.
Yes, do it. Click that. And until then, until the next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.